everybody, and welcome to the Learn Dota 2 League Season 15, Week 3. This time we're going to get to see the pick phase because I didn't have to watch all of it and then restart the recording. It's still just me, though. Last time, the Muertas came in without a plan, the OD came in with one, and when it all came down to it, the OD just kind of steamrolled. Let's see what happens this time. And I do think it's an interesting assessment because, and I really don't, I hope nobody takes this as an insult on either side, but I do think these teams are pretty relatively equally matched when it comes to cumulative skill-wise. I think it really was just the factors of organization there and strategy, the factors of your pick, the factors of what are we going to actually play this like, how are we going to play this out, that really came in so strongly for OD in their first lineup. First pick tree. Muertas want the tree this time. OD gonna pick the Riki. That will make everything come full circle. You don't know this, but this is basically the same bands as the first game as well, both sides.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Triad has a quite good foundation. If there is one awkward thing with the Riki, I think that Riki has the same kind of issue as Mirana does in a lot of cases, where Riki is a very good general support to have, but he doesn't really combo all that well with anybody. You know, if you're laning, you're never going to sit there really and say, dang it, I wish I had a Riki here. If you're in the middle of a fight, you're never going to say, that was okay, but if we had a Riki, it would make it really special. There's a few, don't get me wrong. The same goes for Mirana as well. There's a few in both cases, don't get me wrong. I think for the most part, it is kind of awkward to try and put them into a scenario where you're trying to pick teams with those heroes as sort of your... Okay, I like this combo a lot. As sort of your foundation. You know, both also have the... Okay, so you got the arrow and the dart, and that can potentially be cool, but man,
remaining.
those max stun arrows are not going to come every day for you, and even if you've got good setup for them, they usually can still be dealt with through various means. And that shard, that does take 15 minutes to even come out, and you might not necessarily have the money if things ain't going well. In fairness, they kind of have to go really badly, but I mean, surely you want at least one other item, right? Surely you want to be a support of some value outside of just literally having the dart, so you do have to wait a bit on it. And while Riki is really, really, really strong right now, I do think that he can put you in a situation where he is very awkward to kind of pick around and pick for. I think Mortis maybe fell a little bit into that in the last lineup, where it's like they had the Riki, and that's awesome, but what did they have to go around him? Really nothing much.
Dire team ban.
Had almost a very redundant pick in the form of the Puck. Lycan here. It's kind of early to say whether or not this Lycan is going to be good. I do like where he is in this order here. This is a pretty good hero to drop some protection bands for. OD going to get rid of the Sven. That could be a pretty nasty combo, actually. Sven plus the Lycan could be pretty rough.
Dire team ban.
Gonna ban out the Drow. There's one hero I expect to start seeing a near 100% ban rate in the coming weeks. It probably is Drow. Once people start realizing how dominating her performances have been, pretty much every time she's picked, and how difficult it is for even a team with counters to deal with her. I think you're going to start seeing quite a bit more ban action going on. They do not want to run back that Bristleback. They'd rather let the Shadow Fiend through, which they banned out the first time, which is interesting. I think Kid Dynamite is the only one left in the Pause 1 pool that's still running that. I think they might have been planning to do that in the last game, as it looked like a really good Shadow Fiend game, but they were not able to do so. It was banned out, you see, if you weren't paying attention there.
10 seconds remaining.
Clock Snap I really like a lot. Just one of the nastiest things you can
5
do to
seconds
somebody.
remaining.
Again, you're kind of lacking on regular day-to-day stuns. I think you're going to need at least one
Dire
core
team
with a
pick.
pretty decent, reliable
Face
stun.
the light.
And hey, that's not a bad option. Running back the OD here, or not the OD
Dire
here.
team
OD
pick.
running back the Dawnbreaker here.
Admiral Kunkka.
Muerta's picking up the Kunkka because apparently they did not read how that did for Looter that week. Because, the game was still actively ongoing, but, neither here nor there. Randy believes that you should just not pick Kunkka at all, basically, right now.
10 seconds remaining.
I don't know if I agree 100% with that sentiment. I do
5
think that he
seconds
does have
remaining.
something to offer here with the Treant Protector. But it does feel like he's on the weaker side of the equation right now. Nothing else, having the X to deal with the Dawnbreaker is pretty good. Having the ability to drop stuff in Clockwork Gear Jail can be
Radiant
really
team
good.
Pick.
And Neek's Assassin basically removes Dawnbreaker from the game for the most part, so I would be a little shocked if it's going to be back on Iceman. Confirms a core Kunkka here, which isn't too
10
surprising.
seconds
I don't think
remaining.
anybody likes their support Kunkkas anymore.
5 seconds remaining.
But you can never be 100% sure. You're definitely going to see the crazy stuff coming out of the woodwork in LD2L quite a bit. I mean, heck, this could be a puzzle like it we're looking at. You never know. Not even a little thought as to what they're going to be picking up against this. They do have to kind of consider that they're almost just
Dire
down
team
Dawnbreaker
back.
now. Going to be picking up the Ursa. Ursa can definitely be good in this lineup. Lycan really doesn't want to do anything to him, and his ult is very strong here. Screws with Kunkka, screws with the Neek's Assassin, screws with the Treant Protector. It's definitely a strong Ursa game so
Radiant
far.
team ban.
Is there anybody really in the pool left to get rid of him? I don't really think so. Muertes do have some flexibility in how they want to run their lineup here. There is one downside to
10
the
seconds
Ursa,
remaining.
and that is if he's not able to just use the
5
ult to
seconds
get around
remaining.
it, and that's not up 24/7, getting X'd
Dire
kinda
team
sucks.
ban.
Getting Treant ulted
Radiant
kinda
team
sucks. Getting
ban.
randomly Neek stunned or hitting the Carapace kinda sucks. Trollwaller ban. Interestingly, Muertes
Dire
knocking out
team
the
pick.
Necro there, even though I feel like that could actually be a really good pick for their lineup. As long as you very, very quickly build yourself up some big-time magic resist items or go BKB, a Necro could be really good for them here, I think, actually.
10
Not what they're going to be
seconds
going for,
remaining.
though.
5 seconds remaining.
But yeah, Schrodinger's Ursa game. I mean, there's going to be points in this game where he's going to be easily kited, and there's going to be points in this game where they can't stop him at all. And in those second points, he's just going to be able to eat everybody for free. It is a bit of a shame. When Ursa gets a BKB, these guys can't stop him at all, really, for the most part. I mean, the tree can't, but you can just save your ult for that. Just get rid of that crap. Absolute best possible place for Mortis to go here is something that can control Ursa, even during ult or BKB. Or prevent him from using those things, that could also be a possibility. So far, they don't really have anybody that does that, aside from the very small amount of time that you're stunned out by the Neek's Impale Carapace
Radiant team
Conqueror. I mean, they
pick.
have a bunch of stuns, but they're all...
Naga
Okay!
siren.
I think I see that. That's got good chemistry with a Kunkka. It kind of has very redundant chemistry of the Treant Protector. They both do kind of the same thing and don't really make each other any better.
10 seconds remaining.
But being able to sing and get rid of the Ursa is something that is
5
never going to
seconds
go
remaining.
away. It is really hard to try and time everything you got around that. And even if you do BKB, then you're going to end up in a very awkward scenario where you can be beat up and nobody else on your team can. So I do like the Naga pick here. It also goes nominally well with the Lycan stuff.
Choose your hero.
The tree ult can give her some time to beat people up. And Ember Spirit can be really, really annoying for her to deal with in this game. Now, the good news is that the Nyx Assassin Mana Break can make the Ember Spirit a lot easier to deal with. Just keep blowing up his mana bar, and he will struggle to do anything. You don't really have anybody else you need to use that on, so that's good. But, I mean, how long in a fight is Nyx Assassin just going to be able to stand up right next to Ember, just going, hey, blowing him up? Not long. I don't think there's a draft blowout here this time. Really almost all thanks to the Nyx and the Naga picks here. It's not a draft blowout by any stretch of the imagination. There is one thing, I guess. Muerta's lineup is kind of anti-meta. Some 45% club mainstays down there on Muerta's. But aside from that, for the most part, this does seem to be a lot more equal. And there seems to be a lot more of a natural flow, a natural game plan on Muerta's this time. You know, you can kind of picture how fights are going to go on Muerta's this time around. You know, you have the tree ult that's going to hold everybody in place for, you know, a boat would be nice, but you're not always going to get that. So let's say you got the tree ult that's going to hold everybody nice and together for the Torrent Storm, for the Naga Siren to come in and just start beating everybody up. You have the Lycan who's able to either participate directly or just go push out a side lane and yell at people. Nyx Assassin is there to mess with the Dawnbreaker, blow up some mana off of the Ember Spirit, blows up the Snapfire as well, so I feel like that's almost a secondary concern to the fact that it pretty much eliminates the Dawn. I mean, you're getting rid of one of the 4 Snap abilities, and basically Dawn is a hero. You can see how the flow goes. The problem is that they still don't have great options for what happens if you get cogsed. If Nyx is not personally present in a fight, everything goes south. This is going to be a very, very, very big game for Space Cowboy. It's going to be a very big test of how well he can use his Spike Carapace, how well he can time it. Because there's going to be a lot in this game riding on this ability. There's going to be a lot in this game riding on the Impales. And Ags would be really cool if he could get it as well. If Space Cowboy, personally, has really good execution in this game, it could be a single-handed tipping factor. That's very difficult for anybody on the enemy team to really comfortably deal with. On the other hand, if he has a normal game, which is, let's just be fair, that's the expected outcome, alright? This is a very, very, very tall order. Play perfect, right? So if he has a normal Nyx game, or worse yet, if he has a not-so-good Nyx game, it could be kind of bad, kind of fast. Going to be running the Tree 4 and the Nyx 5 this time. Been interesting. Really being very conscious about the double melee lanes, I guess. I mean, this is an all melee lineup. What am I saying? So, I don't know. I'm not really sure why. I guess Muertas are saying maybe it's the way we're doing our lanes. Maybe there's just some anti-chemistry happening, but I don't know. I just don't see that really, to be honest with you. I think the lanes are fine. Just let them be, you know.
Radiant's middle tower is under
I guess
attack.
probably they just want to have the Nyx up against the Dawnbreaker even in lane, or stop her from having a game outright. But I think that's kind of an extreme action. You're going to prevent the Dawnbreaker from having much of a game no matter what you do, unless your team's getting bodied. So the Ursa Clock combo is kind of neat. I don't usually like Clock at all as a pos 5. I think he's one of the worst ones you could actually have as far as the lane phase itself goes. But this specific combo with Ursa could definitely have some strong dividends, and we've got a kill on Virus here. check out how that happens. Well, unfortunately, Neeks does not come out of the spawn gate here with all of his abilities instantly, so... Ooh, baby. Whew! Perfect time to hit level 2 on that one, wow. Gets a tip from the man he just frustrated there with his Carapace. And probably rightfully so, to be honest with you. Carapace is up now, and this lane is probably going to get a lot harder very quickly. Kunkka, gonna give it to Ember Spirit a little bit here in this lane. I think logically this should be a kinda tough lane for Iceman, certainly in comparison to the last game. Not if Cheeseburger eats some tower shots for free, but I think this is going to be a kind of a tougher lane for Ember Spirit. I mean, on one hand, Kunkka's not good. Just almost period right now. He's not the worst, but he ain't great. Well, on the other hand, he's got some things Iceman doesn't like. And by Iceman, I mean, of course, Ember. Got some things Iceman doesn't like. He's got that X. He's got a lot of fizz damage with the Tidebringer. Trying to bait Iceman into taking a tower shot there, but it just isn't going to happen. That wasn't kind of ill-advised Q from Kunkka. Let's see what's going on here. Answer is Tree is dying. Tree is just getting cut down here. It is definitely one of the worst Treant Protector lane matchups against Ursa. Ursa just kind of eats him. There's really not anything he can do about it. Actually, I don't know. I think this Neek swap to top is just getting worse and worse. It didn't stop at First Blood, and this is just going to kind of give Ursa a free lane, I'm starting to feel like. One of the worst support matchups to be going into Ursa. Really just does not have any way to avoid just getting kind of run over by him. And isn't great at helping his friends avoid the same fate. I do think you need a little bit of that. Okay.
Can you not make yourself...
That is... okay. Oh, that's a bit of an awkward interaction. I think Devirez and Space Cowboy, they're trying to use the Neek's abilities to the best of their abilities there, but I think you... Vex, get rid of the aggro, please. I do think you have to be a little bit more careful with your execution than that. I think if you're just saying, oh, we have Neek, so Dawnbreaker's dead, like I said in the last game, just because it can't be dealt with doesn't mean it is. You know, countered does not mean non-existent. Ah, Centaur stomped the wave. Always awkward when that happens. Davi gonna come up to try and mess with this pull. Going to get one creep for his troubles, that's good. Okay, Iceman is gonna suddenly take a dive here. We're gonna see a pretty big exchange. Iceman just standing at the creep wave where he probably doesn't want to be. Kunkka just barely getting out of that. But he does win that exchange there. He is going to stack up some bracers to try and keep edging out his physical advantage over his counterpart.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Just starting to play some dividends. You have equal last hits there, but very notably, the Ember Spirit has got a death on him. This is a very awkward fight for Kid Dynamite. Probably shouldn't have tried to fight in the trees. No, it's fine. Never mind. A little less fine when he dies for it, but at least it wasn't a post-mortem kill. Still very awkward. Speaking of very awkward boss. It's just a little too far there to levy some right-clicks onto the Neek's Assassin there. Probably would have been a kill. Especially if he was willing to pop stick for mana hitty on it. But you know how it goes. Ursa is back. The kill on Ursa is a good start, but that is the top last hits in the game right now. I have to do a little more than that. Treant Protector just getting bullied by the Clockwork. You know, if Treant Protector wasn't already bad enough against the No Turtles, that doesn't do anything to Ursa. But, I mean, I guess it gets rid of his armor, but doesn't get rid of the important thing that you want to get rid of on Ursa for the most part. It's just a bad lane for Tree to be. The Naga Siren has died enough times at top. She's already out of this lane. Really just did not make this swap worth it. Even if Neeks counters out the Dawnbreaker, I definitely think she just not lane against her. Neeks at bottom. You have a stun for the Ursa. You potentially have some mana break for them. You have a support they can't just easily go in on. Probably beats Clock in the support trades, I would say. Just making life way harder for poor Treant Protector by landing it like this. Not really giving anything to the safe laner here, who is now going to get shot in the back of the head for her troubles. And if you want a real testament to that, Ursa is getting dangerously close to twice the Naga Siren's last hits here at 8 minutes. And has 2 kills. And 1 death less. Cheeseburger is going to get his. Let's see how this goes down. Great. Oof. Good dodge there on Iceman's part. It just doesn't seem like Kunkka is really predicting with the torrents all that well. When he's getting combos into it, things are going as well as they possibly can for him. But when it's when he's just trying to blind drop him, not going quite so well. And as a result, a lane that I feel like should be alright for Kunkka, should be at least marginally in his favor, is just quickly slipping out of his grasp. I think maybe Cheeseburger here overthinking it. Should just be thinking a bit more about just trying to keep his own affairs in order. As time goes on, though, this lane is increasingly turning against the Dawnbreaker, so there is that. The Naga Siren has returned to lane here, to a degree at least. So there is that as well. It is funny, it just feels like all the tides are turning at least a little bit here to in the lane phase. Another missed torrent. It just seems like Cheeseburger just can't get him no matter what he does. Ursa has lost all respect for Lycan, is not even gonna mess with him at all. Gonna pretend he doesn't exist. Snap going rather deep into the jungle to try and deal with the
Radiant's middle tower
lingering
is
there
under
of the
attack.
Naga. But even with that return, it's just 1 assist and a half a wave's worth of last hits. It's a bit of a turnaround, but they still need to find something to get the momentum back on Naga here. If they just try to keep her in the jungle and have her flash farm, I think this lineup is more than capable and more than willing to go deep in for her. Just continually flush her out and just make things worse and worse. Very sad. Again, it does feel like there is a bit of, I don't know. Sometimes you see some slightly less than ideal positioning on the Snapfire off of boss here. Like, there's definitely been a lot of times, it feels like, over this series where I've looked at what he's doing, and he's just a few steps too far to get involved in what would be a kill if he was there. Which is a bit of a shame. Okay, now this is turning to a bit of a death, if things don't go well. Okay, why is Kunkka here? This is not the way to turn this around, unless you end up getting either Vex or the tower for it. Really just is not. It's the same thing as Looter. It's like, why are you here? This is the one lane you're, like, winning. Go kill Ursa. He's got 65 last hits. You really would just want to let that stand? Ursa's already a problem that you're going to have to take pretty special measures to deal with. You're just not going to be able to kill him every second of the game. This is good. But Iceman's here. You might have made this one a little too obvious. Cheeseburger is also rotated bot to get some, well, I mean, he was here originally. Try and get something done, but the Iceman's appearance just completely ruined that. Dawnbreaker stunned out here. Just annoying her as much as possible. Nyx Assassin going to have to abandon his duty and just come bot to try and get something done to Ursa. Not the worst idea, pretty much is the only hero on the board right now who can. We're gonna go all in. We've got the Lycan ult, which is going to be caught by the Clockwork. Clockwork's just gonna tank this and just die.
Dire's
Goodbye,
top tower
Clockwork.
is under attack.
Okay, he did hit 6 at a pretty cool time, but unfortunately. Was Good Dynamite expecting that hook shot to stun for an hour? Okay, good. Rotation in from Snapfire, probably unnecessary. They have at least pressured the Ursa enough now with these rotations that he has fallen to not first by a mile as far as the last hits go. He is still consistently staying either in first or second place, though actually being somewhat competitive with where Devirus is at. Probably a better situation for them. Again, you do have to wonder a bit just how long that's going to be. Wow, Iceman just walked away from a boat. That is truly tragic. Ursa just stunned himself on the Carapace, so the Carapace being gone means the ult now can come out from boss. Does kill the Nyx Assassin. Kunkka sticking around like his meal ticket in this team fight isn't already dead. Though in fairness, it's not like the OD lineup has anything really more to add to this, with the Ember Spirit being out of mana and Ursa no longer really willing to be engaged without him, which is probably not a bad idea. This is not what I wanted when I clicked on this.
Invisibility.
This is not Dawnbreaker's courier. Sorry, sad. Yep, Dawnbreaker calling in to finish up the Deso here. Flavi has found himself a Treant to walk all over. Kunkka gonna throw the Torrent into the gears just to mess with things. Boat in the middle of this. Wow, okay. Oh dear. Kind of an awkward trio. There only gets one. But the one that it does get, gets got. Dawnbreaker ult coming in. Carapace is gone, so it just cleanly goes through. One for two, ultimately. Let's take a look at the net worth chart here. And you can really tell, even with the Naga starting to come back through trying to split up and flash farm, she is still several hundred net worth behind her, so that is a much bigger improvement. I would guess that if we looked at this chart, oh, say 5 minutes earlier, the Naga Siren probably would have been like half of an Ursa, but you know. Ursa has pulled out his Battle Fury. Randy is already seething at the thought. Courier brings items in, just ward 0 on boss, nothing too exciting. Dawnbreaker still looking forward to that final hammer. A DD rune on Iceman here, who has quite an entrance to make here. Nyx Assassin just going to get brutally murdered. Cheeseburger actually just walking a little awkwardly forward there, but Iceman is low enough at the moment that it's probably fine. Was a bit unfortunate. Iceman didn't have like the ability to just TP back and get his health up. I think if he did, that could be a major play. That's probably 3 dead if he has more than half his health at that moment. Vex is going to walk at Devirus.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Vex is going to high-five the tower and then die.
Clear sailing now.
And then get tipped. Both pause 3s just randomly die to their respective pause 1s in places they probably just shouldn't have been. Kunkka is going to get ran over here. Ooh, good hook from Clockwork. Is going to probably save Iceman's life in that moment and just completely waste the trio as a result. Oh no! Nyx Assassin! They forgot about him. Nyx just took a mega off of Iceman, which would have been a very big deal if it wasn't Nyx Assassin, whose role in this game is to hit W and E. And that's literally it, basically. He is getting a mech, so he's going to have that too. I like how Nyx is getting the mech and not the Treant Protector. Thematics of the heroes destroyed. Vex is kindly showing everybody where the enemy jungle is.
Tower is under attack.
As well as where Devirus is. Notably, that stretch between Devirus and Ursa is actually just getting worse at this point.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Ursa has taken over 1,000 gold lead. I assume because Devirus is busy getting walked at by Vex, while Kid Dynamite just eats poor turtles whenever he shows up to his neighborhood. T1 top going to go down. Second tower in the game after the very predictable T1 bot Radiant going down. Ursa closing in rather soon on that BKB. Devirus is kind of randomly caught here. Fortunately, they don't really have the ability to do anything about this. There's that tree ult. Okay, they have a little something to do about it now. The Dawnbreaker ult is going to get cancelled, but not before it heals Ursa back about half to way to full. Naga does have the ult here. She doesn't want to use it very clearly, but it is an option for her. No, never mind. That was just an illusion. So the good news is the illusion decides that it wants to ult, and that's fine. Ooh, yes! Okay. Slizzy there, just praying for everything he's got, and it does work out. Devirus is going to take a spill there. Give the money right to Ursa, which is not what you want to do. Pause 1 to pause 1 at 19 minutes into the game. And Ursa gets a free People's Gift for his troubles, which he is not going to do because Ursa hates fruit and healthy diets. Kunkka is gone from this earth. Nyx Assassin does teleport here, presumably to try and get rid of the snap ult, but does not accomplish his goal. And in fact gets hit with the urn here. On one hand, he could hit Carapace out of Spy, but on the other hand, I don't think he's really very willing to do that when the prospect of things getting worse is still there. First Rosh of the game going down here. 20 minutes almost on the dot. First Aegis falls. Ursa's going to have the opportunity to get a shard at somewhere between, let's just say, at about 30 minutes. And that shard is going to be a little nasty in this game. Enrage is going to be a very big deal. It's going to be kind of hard for the enemy team to get rid of. And Ursa having two different buttons to do it rather than just one is going to be pretty nasty. They're not able to secure the Rosh Pit. This is certainly a game where buying it would not be ill-advised. So far, it's not looking terribly like that's going to be too scary, though. There is the Naga Siren ult to worry about there. Always worrying when you're trying to take that Rosh. Thinking, you know, maybe she just comes in and sings. Boss is going to likely go down here for the sake of warding duty. No, never mind. They're going to drop everything trying to save. But it doesn't actually work, nope. The tree ult there is able to get the job done. Unfortunately, they just used almost everything they have on supports. Fortunately for them, okay, Neeks immediately cancels the Dawnbreaker ult. Fortunately, Ursa was losing a fight to the Naga Siren in the jungle. Unfortunately, he was able to get out of it and just kill everybody. This is starting to look really hard. I mean, already this is starting to get pretty tough. Naga Siren, for all of her farming, for all of the camps she's able to take, they're not even contesting her, really. They got a kill on her earlier, that was really good. But aside from that one kill that Ursa got a few minutes ago, they've been pretty much just kind of letting her have this map for free. But even with all that space, she can't actually outpace the Ursa here. That does not feel good. The Ember Spirit is still just kind of walking on people at this point, which is equally not good. Probably had a better lane phase than his matchup really should have let him have. We are seeing a few weaknesses with the Cheeseburger Kunkka here. Very reminiscent of the Cheeseburger Pudge in a lot of ways, actually.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant structures are
Ursa finished BKB. Is now going to be going for that Blink Dagger. Already rather close to that. Dawn's pulling something in. Let's check out what that is. That would be 2 mangoes. Okay. Vex has no idea what he wants next, I guess.
Radiant's middle tower.
That or he's just trying to work the casters and make them stay on their toes. We do have the cool... I used to say cool Vlad, but it's not that anymore. Helm of the Overlord on the Lycan. Got his Black Dragon basically immediately. This is going to help the Muertas lineup keep their advantage as far as pushing power goes. Certainly to that end, it's almost the exact opposite of the last game. While the ODs do have that Snapfire, which is always nice for pushing out. Feels like almost every other advantage is in Muertas' pocket when it comes to that side of the equation. Both with the ability of Treant Protector to keep their own towers healthy, as well as the ability for Lycan to just tear them down. Naga Siren, not a bad pusher, especially not uphill. Oh, for all the things you can say about Naga Siren, I think as far as the possible ones go, she is a very, very nice one to have if your plan is to go uphill. In fact, she's going to take a very casual spill here. This man going to take a very brave position in the middle of this fight, as artillery is making a mess of everything here. Clockwork going to catch the Neeks. Naga Siren once out. The second that hook shot comes out, she immediately starts to TP, and she does make it. They do lose a support line for Vex.
Double damage.
They don't lose anything more. Fight was not a win for them, but it could have definitely gone a lot worse at least. Lycan's got that DD. And he has this stupid thing as his ancient now. Okay, boss is stuck around this way too long compared to where his team is. You're the captain, boss. Just make them push. Easy. I mean, what's your name, right? Boss is closing in pretty soon on Guardian Greaves, which is going to be pretty solid for this lineup. Naga Siren likes breaking your armor and doesn't like it when you have it to compensate for that. And of course, heroes like the Kunkka and the Treant Protector do not really like the burst of healing to try and reset the fight a little bit. Speaking of healing, Clockwork's not going to be letting you do that anytime soon. The Spirit Vessel should be getting pretty much rid of the Living Armor's heal aspect. Not the armor so much, but, you know. Ursa picked up his Vambrace, as they say in Italy, and has found himself a Treant Protector to brutalize. Fortunately, you have a little bit of a miscue there between the Clockwork and the Ember Spirit, but no big deal. Ursa takes a free Ancient for his troubles. The tree is cut down. And as far as trying to prep the situation for the next Roche fight, well, not next Roche fight, but next Roche attempt, getting rid of the tree is certainly not a bad thing to do. Oh, the tree is going to be... Okay. This is a huge fight for the Dire. The Neek's perfect Carapace there just completely ruins Dawnbreaker's impact immediately. Ursa is down. They didn't actually drop that much to it. Unfortunately, that doesn't really matter so much when Iceman is just going to demolish people. This song's actually funny. If the Iceman was in it, I would have actually killed people on his team. Iceman tried really hard there to get at least something done for his troubles, but did not make it. That does show this team isn't per se dead. Even without the tree being alive for the start of that, the Neeks was able to impact that in a big way, and Gunko was able to reverse most of the rest of the enemy support line, so the cores were in vulnerable positions and ultimately did go down. Lots of money just changed hands, especially in the Naga and Kunka's pockets, which is, if you're the Dire, exactly where you want it to be. That could definitely be the start of a turnaround.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Bounty.
Radiant's
As
top
some
tower
clones of
has
the virus kill a tower. So one of those heroes that just has that free shot at the T1s. No Roche for another 20 seconds. Two games in a row, somebody on this lineup has walked out of the Roche pit within 5 minutes, within 5 seconds of Roche spawning. It's a bit unfortunate, but Ursa's just going to walk right back while his team dies at top.
That's playing to win, baby!
They do drop the Howl to try and pressure a little further here. They don't really have that ability. It is very unfortunate how Dawnbreaker is almost just not a part of this game for the most part. I feel like if the Muertas did not have that Neeks Assassin, this game would be going very, very differently for them. As it stands, they've brought the net worth advantage to nearly an identical place. Neeks just finished up the Greaves. They brought the net worth advantage actually now into their favor. It's still very close, but getting the net worth advantage from where this game started for these guys is a pretty big deal. Gonna go up for the T3 here. Ursa ain't gonna let this happen. Ooh, good shot from Clockwork in the back. But, oh, Davi actually canceled that ult a little early! And is going to summarily go down as a result of it. Boat does fall on the Ursa, but Ursa's got that BKB up, so who cares? Lycan's gonna try and TP out when he's in Clockwork jail. Unfortunately, as much of a counter as Neeks is to the Dawnbreaker, Clockwork almost is to the Lycan. Just being able to put him in that jail is not something that he wants. And 2k gold falls right into the Radiant's pocket, and a grand falls out of Dire's to put it back at the 3k gold advantage that the Radiant had right before that last fight. You know, that's going to be your position when you don't get the super uber Neeks Carapace like in the last fight. The second the Carapace was out of the equation, felt like they could do a lot less. And speaking of doing a lot less, feels like this team as a whole is going to be doing a lot less now that the Ursa has picked up this shard. To be full honest, I don't really know what you do to kill him anymore. I feel like he's just not going to be much of a credible target unless it's like a 1v5 scenario that they're just not going to let happen. Especially with the Snapfire having the Graze as well, just to be able to inject that right into him. Of course, Nyx also has Graze, so it's kind of a mutual thing, but the Snapfire Graze means a hell of a lot more than the Nyx Graze, because the Snapfire Graze is working up against, you know, small, rapid physical damage like the Naga Siren right-click. You do have the Tidehunter, not the Tidehunter there, the Tidebringer there to contend with, so there is that. Well, on the other hand, Ursa doesn't really care about your armor in the slightest. So on the face of it, the Greys are going to be a little bit more in the hands of the Radiant than in the hands of the Dire. Four-man Smoke, speaking of the Dire, coming out here. Kunkka actually just kind of ruined the smoke by popping it on a wave that they were looking at. So as a result, outside of Snapfire, everybody on OD taking a pretty defensive position here.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Lycan's got himself an AC. Working again towards the Pipe of Insight, which makes a little bit more sense this time. It is a point in the game where the Snapfire ult, if it doesn't get cancelled, it's still going to be a big part of the fights. The Ember Spirit is starting to lean into some magic damage here, going for what I assume is Zags. Coming out, yep. So it makes more sense this time. Once again, Dawnbreaker is going to take an unfortunate spill, but this time, I think anybody's going to be crying over it. Okay, the Ember might, as he just had to take the full duration of like 3 stuns. He's just going to play around these guys. Kind of make fools of them for a while. They really just didn't know how to finish the job, it felt like. Lycan dies on the TP attempt. Devirus is just going to sing and go home. I like the awkward walk up to everybody and then sing TP there. Speaking of awkward, a little awkward creep chase scene here. I do not see where this thing that I've been spoiled on has actually happened. I have a feeling Slizzy is about to be very disappointed.
Visibility.
See, here's the thing, kids. If something funny happens in your game, call it out in chat. Vocally shame your teammates for doing something stupid, so I can hit rewind on the player and see it happen. Hell going out there. 40 seconds on Aegis. Get Dynamite desperate to actually use it. She's going to be furiously assaulting a Centaur. So there is that. An awkward little encounter here, as neither team is really willing to commit at the moment. I think the only people on this entire board that are really hankering for a fight are probably Ursa and Kunkka. Everybody else would just kind of rather that the other team just went away and didn't bother them. Rose using the illusions to cut waves and push out bot here. It does successfully delay game long enough for Ursa's Aegis to expire. Oh! Nyx just barely missing out on the ult there. And unfortunately, Carapace is at, well, at all, really. Kunkka is going to attempt here to use his armlet toggle to stay alive, but no such luck. I think the idea for Nyx in a game like this is that, you know, it's It's Fleet and Bane for your spiked Carapace.
Dire's middle
It's
tower
actually
is under
stronger
attack.
when it's not in use. It's stronger when you have the
Radiant's
threat
middle
of being
tower
able to
is
drop
under
the Carapace than it is actually in use here. You know, just staying disciplined on it and making sure not to just drop it
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
would definitely help out in a lot of these fights sometimes. I don't know why these guys are running away from this. This is a 2v2 at best and they know that. Like, Clockwork, hello, do something please? Just sticking around to Force Staff out there. That was so strange. I think if Clockwork just kind of goes in, drops cogs on that, I think Ursa just gets 2 kills and that's just it. Guess he was thinking it was kind of risky. You know, you're running the risk of they just mulch you and walk away and Ursa still gets nothing for it, but I do think it was probably worth the shot there. Just force in and drop it. It's almost astounding to think that, like, 10 minutes ago, there was a net worth advantage for the Dire. Might not be so astounding, though, if this happens for Iceman. A good attempt by Slizzy to come out here with the hook shot and break it up, but only just ends up adding his own name to the list of casualties. What does that mean, Iceman? What does that mean, Vex? Somebody translate A for me. Naga Siren does have herself quite a fearsome complement of items at this point. Got herself a Bloodthorn, got herself a Manta Style, got herself the Heart of Tarask. But even with Ursa having a similar, not better, but pretty similar loadout, I would say, for this point.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
You know, on one hand, Ursa does have the higher net worth. On the other hand, Naga's not having to pack the BKB there in this game to kind of, you know, compete. There's a need to compete like he does, so it's really kind of equal in that way. Hook shot coming in here. Lots of big stuff coming in here. The Neek's E must have been used.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Ursa is trying to fight really bravely here. But he does not actually win this one. Cheeseburger gonna go down. Iceman coming in, he is not happy with how this fight has gone down.
Radiant's bottom barracks
Tavira is a little pressure to actually be able to TP out of this, so he's just gonna go right down too.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Like, Inez gonna try and get away. No, he's actually gonna try and stay and fight? I don't know if that's that advisable. Okay, Iceman's just going to eat a Clockwork Hook shot and suddenly make it advisable again. A bit awkward to say the least. Losing Ursa in that fight really sucked for the ODs, but everything else went exactly how they wanted it to. Clockwork doing a pretty serious amount of damage here, actually. I assume just with the cumulative of the Spirit Vessels doing a lot of that for him. But Iceman is starting to look pretty uncontrollable. You know, it's either you 1v5 him or he 2v5 is you.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Cheeseburger didn't actually get to Tidebring there. Now he gets to do it. There we go. Mission accomplished. Boss was testing right there if the Guardian Greaves could stop you from getting X. The answer is no. Very awkward encounter here. It seems like everybody on the ODs had somebody different in mind for who that team fight should have been engaged on. they're all going to kind of pay for it here. Good use of the dodge there on the part of the Iceman, the Ember Spirit. Awkward cogs by Slizzy. Unfortunately, lets Lycan get away. Should have really just kept him in jail. Oh, inexplicably, Lycan actually did try to stick around here, which is going to lead to his... Oh, maybe death? Nope. We got a big-time save here coming out of the Naga Siren. Unfortunately, the save was only big time on the Pons 3. Actually, no, never mind. No even save on the Pons 3. Still going to die here.
A bittersweet sunset for you.
That fight went that bad for Muertes, and Ursa's Satanic has not been used. This is feeling very, very over. While the Muertes lineup does have a lot of ability to just delay game, just waste a lot of time in making pushes really, really
Dire's
long.
middle tower has
It doesn't really seem like it's buying them anything at this point, except an opportunity for Dawnbreaker to have some sort of impact at least.
fallen. Radiant are scanning.
Radiant trying to find this stupid tree. And they found him. They finally got the bash, and he's down.
Who's next? I've got all
This
day.
man's got himself a Shiva's Guard. Got a buyback from the Treant Protector
Is
here.
under attack.
Trying to ruin this uphill a little bit. When they get the tower,
Dire's
okay, we got a
structures are fortified.
strategically used glyph. The most strategic element of this whole game is going to stop this. Because they didn't get the tower, it could definitely be a situation where it's back up by the next time they go for it. Good news is, speaking of backup, this guy's back up. He has a refresher shard. Probably not what Ursa wanted. He probably wanted to get that always in rage, but you know how it goes. At least he'll be able to refresh BKB, which is slightly harder to get use out of, but not impossible. Or alternatively, they could put it on Iceman, have him refresh his BKB, and refresh a lot of his stuff to try and clown on people. That's an option too.
Dire's bottom tower
Picked up a
is under
Crimson
attack.
Guard there on the Snapfire. Guess hypothetically, if your armor rating is good, and you are getting rid of some of that armor break with your Guardian Graves, you're going to be soaking up a lot of hits from the... not the Neeks, from the Naga Siren here, which is good. Speaking of Naga Siren, just kind of gets caught in the river there and just gets torn to smithereens in mere seconds.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
And once again, all the Muertes lineup can really do at this point is just try to delay game and pray. They do have a lane open here of Rax to poke at if they get some sort of advantage, but it's starting to look really hard to see much of an advantage coming out.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Very fun game to cast though,
Radiant's turret
when you
has
just
fallen. Dire's middle
defend all the time with no real possibility to attack
Dire's
back.
middle barracks are under attack.
And even with all that turtling, first set of Rax, very appropriate for the name of their Pos 3. First set of Rax has gone down, the second set does not look far from it.
Dire's top tower is fallen. Dire's top barracks are under attack. Dire's top barracks is fallen.
They're trying to, yeah, they did actually successfully waste the time out on the X there. Unfortunately, they also all got stunned by Neek's Assassin. Well, you know how it goes. Trying hard to get something for their money here, but they're just finding that to be almost impossible on the ODs. And are now just pulling out. Of course, even failing to get any kills against that lineup can't be too bad for them when they, A, just dropped a boat, not that that matters, it's up at 60. They dropped the boat, they dropped the Lycan shapeshift, and perhaps more importantly than that, they dropped these 2 sets of rags anyway, so it's probably fine. And now they just get free as free gets Roche attempt. Kunkka has gotten a Heaven's Halberd here. We're trying to find a lot of ways to get rid of the Ursa in particular in this lineup, but I think the problem is it's not just the Ursa anymore. So throwing out Halberd, trying to kite him specifically, isn't going to do you much good if Iceman's able to just clown on you as well. You know, if there's one thing we saw in the last couple of fights, it's that they most distinctly need the Iceman to be down if they want any chance of getting anything done, really.
Radiant's bottom barracks are under attack.
The virus knows which rack does not regen, but it's not able to get terribly much damage on it. The good news for Dire is, at the very least, the Radiant path to moving forward now is not very subtle. Pretty much just have to go for the spot lane. The bad news is that it's really not easy to think of what Dire is going to do with a 33k net worth disadvantage. And let's see, oh, a 19 level EXP disadvantage. Yikes. Well, the buyback status chart here. I don't think we really need to make the Dire feel any worse with the net worth chart anymore. You can see we don't have it on Lycan and don't have it on the support line, but all the cores besides still have it.
Death and gold are linked.
Lycan's not that far from having it himself. He has a bit of post-mortem abilities with his agents anyway. He has finished up his pipe, he has finished up his boots of bearing, which he was silently building in the background. You might have seen those tranks come up and thought he was crazy for a minute if you forgot about boots of bearing since the patch they were introduced, like it feels like 70% of the database did. But I remember those bearings. It all makes sense to me. Butterfly coming out on the Naga Siren here. Rather close to 6th slot. It still has a wand to get rid of, but that's it. Wand and just the Ags and Crab, but for her slot, she's almost done. Honestly surprised, didn't see a casual shark come out. She had a lot of money. Being able to reset some of the damage off these fights could definitely be a point in their favor. I'm going to try and lengthen out this siege as much as possible, while the virus goes for the top T3, opposite of Rax. Big response here by Dawnbreaker and the... goodbye Nyx Assassin, first one to fall. By the Dawnbreaker and the Clockwork. We do have the ult here from the Naga Siren, who just wants to bully for Clockwork to get her KDA up before this game's inglorious end. Does not even get that done. Clockwork swing and a miss on the hook shot. Shroud Protector going to go down. Both supports down, no buyback. Ursa's Aegis is down. Clockwork down on Radiant. First member of his own team to go down. He's going to buy back. Thaddeus travels now, so it's going to be a minute before he gets here in the case, but it doesn't matter. This game's over. Goodbye. Goodbye, 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 Naga Siren. It was nice knowing you. Cheeseburger's going to bring all of his friends into the fountain to kill him. Gonna kill Vex at least. He's going to buy back and not accomplish anything because all his skills are cool. And Vex is just going to buy back right back at him. I'll show him what's what. 2 games in a row we got the Megas and the Radiant. Well, not on the Radiant, because last time it was the opposite factions, but 2 times in a row OD's gotten these Mega Creeps. And 2 times in a row Cheeseburger has gotten eviscerated, which is now his dieback. 60 seconds without the Dawnbreaker, 100 seconds without the Kunkka. Too much for them. The Los Muertes call GG, and we're getting out of here.
Radiant victory.
Alright. What's the name of the game today? Very simple, it's Organization. Organization first. In this series, OD felt like they were playing a very tight ship, felt like they were playing a very tight game. It felt like they knew what all their picks were supposed to be doing, where they were supposed to be going, right? It felt like everything was very tight with how they executed things, and that was going to be the make or break for this lineup. I think you do have sort of almost a natural styles clash between Vex and the other two cores in this lineup, and you also have the factor of having to change out your support every week, apparently. But for the most part, it seems like OD has averted that. They have their drafts make sense. They're not like award winners, don't get me wrong, but their drafts definitely make good sense. They are flexible enough where they still have room if something goes wrong. You're never going to see, well, I don't want to say never because this is one series, but you're not going to see an OD draft where, you know, you have one hero the whole team is built around, it just falls apart if that guy doesn't have a good game. And they just kind of came in just trying to play a solid, consistent game, and it worked out for them. Muertes, I feel like, were trying to get a little too experimental, on the other hand. Their drafts, you know, in Game 1, it was just kind of, the drafts were there, and that's the best thing you could say about it. Didn't really answer the enemy team at all. In Game 2, their draft had a theoretically higher end, but the execution factor really didn't come in well for them. The Treon Protector took good care of his team. I think more often than not, Davi and Turtles were doing what they were supposed to be doing. There were a few unfortunate things. One of them was the Cheeseburger Kunkka. It really just honestly didn't impress. And I hate to say it at this point, because this is going to sound really mean. I think Cheeseburger watches these, and he's not going to be happy hearing this after he told me week 1 he doesn't need the Lina to beat people mid. But it feels like maybe Cheeseburger is starting to look like the Achilles heel in his own lineup. The Game 1, he just got completely snuffed out. In Game 2, he was just kind of missing things on Kunkka. I think maybe the idea for Cheeseburger is to try and narrow it. Rather than trying to be the do-it-all guy, just focus on a core selection of heroes. Focus on a few. Because this strategy of trying to play a new hero every single game, well, it ain't working, to say the least. Started off very strong. But the Puck and the Kunkka, they just didn't really work. And maybe a little bit more adherence to, you know, like, don't get me wrong, I consider myself a bucker of the meta. I follow it. I know what the meta is, usually, to at least some degree. But, you know, sometimes I'm out of Dota for months at a time. But I am very, you know, I'm a very big proponent of experiment, of do what you like. I'm a very big proponent of try something new, see how it works out. I think Muertes, though, could definitely, as a unit, definitely be well advised to try and rein it in a little bit on that front. You know, let's pull out the Kunkka, let's see how that goes. Oh, you've played a couple of games in Nyx Assassin, that'll work when we really need you to have the most baller game in Nyx Assassin ever. The lane swapping, which, I mean, DeViras brought it back, but he had to bring it back. That's about how well that lane swap went. I don't know. The preseason content said that Muertes, I predicted them to have a kind of similar fate to Giraffe's Laboratory. At the time, Muertes, we were assuming that Davi was going to be there for. But even with that not being the case, it is still feeling a little bit like that team. You know, just getting a little too high concept, getting a little too out there. You know, at this point, I'm a little worried that in the next game, everyone's just going to be speaking French, and the whole team's going to be black and white. I don't know. Find a ground, stick to it. Yeah. Reel it in, reel in the crazy, and I think you can see some results from Muertes, because like I said at the top of the second game, I do think these teams are pretty close skill-wise, but Outlaw Destroyers just blasted them so badly on draft and strategy, execution, and everything. It didn't even look like a close contest. And consider on the strategy front, this has been something that has been Achilles' heel for OD. You know, we've had Princess on here as well, who has been talking about how the ODs have had some organizational issues as far as, you know, taking advantage when they have it, trying to go for actually ending games, right? And that didn't really seem to be the case here. It did seem like the ODs were trying to shake that off a little bit, get a little bit more aggressive. We are seeing a little bit more of an aggressive side of them here. But still, I don't know. The ODs, they clearly need to flip the script around at least a little bit, because this shouldn't, especially after what they did week 1, which is really, at this point, a show of potential, not a show of consistency. They need to hit that potential again. That's all I'm saying. If you or somebody you know wants to learn Dota 2 at a casual or more competitive level, go to ld2l.gg today to sign up. There is plenty of room for stand-ins. There's a few full-time holes that got opened up that apparently haven't been filled full-time yet. Always something new to do, always something fun to try. And, yeah, hopefully we have a live game this week. Hopefully my upload speed isn't literally nothing when I try to go live this week, or else I would cry. With that being said, we'll see you for whatever we're doing live, and see you next time.